Guys, so I'm back. The glue is ready. This is the animal hide glue. I also put some in this jar for a reason. I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to actually be brushing out of this jar. I'm just going to melt it in here because I have so much glue. When I told you, like, it's going to get a lot more, and, it's just gelatinous. It's really nice and soft and everything, as you can see. And it really, like I said, it really fills up. I could have probably added maybe a hair more water, but it seems really nice at this consistency. So what I have done so far is I've overlapped this one more time. I undid it, and I realized I forgot to mention one thing. So when gluing this part to here, I suggest you maybe scrape off some of the skin here. And it's really easy to do if you have a nice sharp knife. What I'll do is I just lay it out. I kind of scored the side here. I'm just going to take my blade, because there's a little bit of leather on there, and I'm just kind of taking off the surface skin a little bit, just roughening it up just a hair. Now, mind you, you don't even have to go all the way to the line. It can help maybe, I don't know. But I find that when you roughen the leather, it just gives it more of a grain, a tooth for that glue to hold on to. And of course, one of the cool things about using this glue is you're realizing that this is made from animal hide, and this is animal hide. They might be two different species, but the fact is you're talking about using something that is sort of like the same chemical makeup. So this stuff works great with that stuff. They're like made for each other. They work wonders. So if you ever question, you go, oh, I don't know if I should use any animal hide glue, I can say, don't worry about it. It's good. So I've pretty much got this going right here. Most of that's going to be covered anyway. You can almost see where there was like a line there from that. I'm just going to take this, kind of lay it down. Since we already folded it before, it should fold up pretty easily the way it did before. Kind of like that. Maybe even a little high up there. Let's push that down. Like I said before, you can just kind of adjust however. But that looks good. So, now that we have this, we've got to apply that. The way we apply that is by sticking that in some hot water. Now I just heated up some water in the microwave. Here you go. Normally I would maybe use a double boiler or whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in there. And this water in here is hot. So it's like a, hot water bath. We're going to wait a second here. Probably going to fast forward over part of this because it takes a few minutes to do. So I can stir it, I can let it sit, whatever. I also normally use a little more of a bristly brush, but most of those are in the other building where my studio is. This is actually my kitchen, so I apologize. But yeah, give me a minute. When the glue is ready, then I'll just show you what I do. I just apply it normally to both surfaces on the flesh side, and then I'll wrap it up, including covering here, and then I'll kind of press it together and leave it be until it's pretty much fully dry. Oh, as a matter of fact, this is starting already to liquefy. Wow, it's going pretty quick. I can even show you what I mean by liquefaction. You can see it's starting to drip. That means it's becoming a nice glue mixture. And we're stirring. It doesn't take a lot of heat. It doesn't have to be boiling water. It just has to be hot. I mean, this is actually to the point where I can pick up the sides, though I might get a little piece of gelatin somewhere in there. It's not a big deal if you do. I'm going to actually glue the outside first because this stuff gets real sticky. And also, if you use cold water to wash your hands, it's going to get even stickier. You use hot water when washing your hands. Speaking of which, I'll run the water in a minute. Because it washes it off. Otherwise, it gets gummy. Like right now, my fingers are like, ugh. So I'm going to start with this one first because I know it's not going anywhere, and then I can work with this one on top of there if I need to roll it over while I'm gluing, I don't have to touch it so much. So with that said, this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just start with a, oh, no, I said I was going to glue the skin first. I'm so silly. Listen to me. And that's really it. You see, it's kind of almost penetrating into the hide itself, which is nice. You get that glue going in there. And with it getting into all those little crevices, it's going to glue really well to the other side because of the bit of texture there, that grain going in, the roughness. So this is going to glue really, really well. I'm going to just kind of get as close to the edges as possible. Like I said, once it starts touching cold things, it starts to get gelatinous. It'd almost be better if I'd had a warm surface. I guess I could work out in the heat. I don't feel like going out there though in the heat. That would work right now. I'd rather work from my nice good old kitchen. So that's looking pretty good there. A little more than halfway done with this part. Can already see a few spots I missed, and I'll catch them in a second. Just kind of go back over areas wherever need be. Almost done. Then we'll hit up the one with the case in it, or the former in it, the wood form. All right. This part's done. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this, I'm going to line it up, well actually I don't even have to line it up yet, hold on, I'm going to just glue this, stick our glue on there. I got a little on that wood. I try not to do that if possible. It will actually get the leather to stick to it, and then you've got to really be a little more aggressive when trying to get these things separated off the wood form, and that can be a bit of a pain. Same with getting glue inside these holes. Be a little mindful. You don't want to get too deep in the holes, because the fact is, again, the glue seeps in there. It's going to be a little bit of a fight and challenge to try and get this off of the wood later on. Shouldn't be too bad, but still, you don't want to have to fight with that. You will have a little bit of a fight. It's just in the nature that the wood's going to be still even a little damp almost, I think. Because you do have so many different layers. Like this glue is wet, so it's going to be damp, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that the wood is going to basically contain some of that moisture. It's going to absorb some of it because it's going to be encased in these things. Now the final step to this will be heating it some in the oven, and what's going to first happen is that the glue is going to sort of liquefy again, because this glue, moisture and heat make it liquid, which is great. It's fabulous, it's a wonderful thing. But when you're actually trying to dry this thing out, it's like, oh, now my liquid, my glue is getting soft again. But what ends up happening is the liquid does evaporate, leaving the glue to actually harden up and dry out again. So now that we're here, I'm going to put a little more glue on there just for the heck of it. Really, it's not going to hurt your piece to have a little more glue. Though when it really starts really getting like shiny like that, you got to be a little careful, because it's not going to do you much better at that point. It might actually, if anything, inhibit some of your work from binding to each other. Too much glue is not always a good thing. So I'm going to say it was right about there. Now this one came over, and it never did come all the way up to that point up there. But I do want to make sure that it's lined up around the edge out here. Remember, we're going to burnish, or not burnish, we're going to fix the edge later on when we pull everything out. Put my, line that a little better. And then I'm going to wrap this around just to make sure everything looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, with that said, I'm going to open this back up a little bit. Apply it over to here now. And after this, we gotta wait. I'm gonna put this away till tomorrow. It's kind of do its thing. If I had a heater, it would help. Though, like I said, it's summer. I could put it outside, but with the humidity right now, I don't think it's really gonna do it much good. I could try and stick it in the oven. Doesn't really matter to me at this point. It will glue and such. Just take a little longer than normal. Humidity doesn't help, and cold doesn't really help either, but we'll see. Maybe I'll stick it in the oven. Who knows? So with that done, I'm going to kind of pull this way, pull them together, pull these edges, so I'm squeezing almost. And just line these up. Looks pretty swanky. I have a little glue coming out. Normally, I don't really care. On the final piece I would. On the outer piece, you want to kind of wipe that off a little. Depending on what you're doing with the piece afterwards, you may or may not want that glue on there. And really, I should be probably using warmer water just to clean that up, but it should be alright. Because the glue is actually a really nice consistency. I did good this time. Sometimes it doesn't come out as pretty as I'd like it to. But that was some good glue, especially for this application. Sometimes you want your glue to be a little thicker or thinner, so it just depends on what you're doing. But yeah, there we go. So this is the first inner casing that you can see. I push that in a little bit. And so at this point, we're going to let this dry, like I said. You could take a linen cloth, and you could take it and wrap it around this to kind of hold it in place, and maybe even squeeze it a little, like woodworkers would do when you clamp two things together. And I'm probably going to do that anyway, just because I really do like to make sure this has a nice tight fit and isn't going to come undone or anything like that. And I make sure the two pieces are really bonded together. So I'm leaving it at this for tonight. I'm going to wrap it, and then tomorrow I'll unwrap. And we'll go to the next stage, which is really, like I said, encasing the next sewn encased piece, which is going to make up the lid. And we'll go from there. Great.